Hello and welcome into a very victorious episode of the PHNX D-backs podcast right here on PHNX. My name is Derek Montilla. Of course, I am your mayor of PHNX, and I am joined, of course, by our vice mayor of the press box in Colorado, the one and only Thunderstick Jesse Friedman.
We're just here to talk about, run-of-the-mill game for the D-backs, 11-4 win. No other big storylines, right, Derek?
Nope. Nothing to talk about. Yes, they had a dominant win, but at what cost, Jesse? At what cost?
Yeah, so Corbin Carroll, obviously, we'll just jump right in. This is what everyone wants to know. You might have seen some info on Twitter already. The Diamondbacks manager Torey Lovullo said that Corbin Carroll has a left knee contusion, that he is day-to-day. The Diamondbacks are not making any roster moves, at least not as of right now. And Torey Lovullo said that Corbin Carroll did not even have any imaging. So this was all just from a trainer, just kind of feeling around and, doing their normal stuff. And I guess they feel confident it's a contusion. We followed up and asked if Corbin would be getting an MRI tomorrow, just as a precaution. And Torey Lovullo said, no, the team as of right now does not plan on doing that. So it appears, Derek, that the Diamondbacks dodged an enormous bullet here this evening.
It was a bad night in Colorado for Arizona sports fans. At that moment, it was probably the worst moment. Suns were down. I don't know if you were aware of this, by a lot at that point.
Yeah.
And then even with the Diamondbacks being up, we had this horrible, breathtaking moment that Corbin Carroll was injured, potentially making an attempt to make an impressive play there in right field. Everybody in the chat is wondering where my purple hair is, Jesse.
I have the same question, Derek.
My only answer for that is the month of April is not over yet. I'm not saying that they could potentially lose extra games. We know it's in the bag. We know the purple hair is happening. I saw all of your tweets. I got every single one of them. And even though I was very high at a concert, I appreciated them. Meanwhile, the Arizona Diamondbacks offense very high as well, not only in elevation in Colorado, but the offense has been coming up big for this team in the last 2 days against the Rockies. The D-backs were 7 for 17 with runners in scoring position today and now have a .313 batting average as a team with runners in scoring position since April 7th, which is third in Major League Baseball behind the Texas Rangers and the Pittsburgh Pirates.
That's made up for a lot of other issues that the D-backs have had, right? A lot of times, whether or not you win a game doesn't necessarily come down to how good your pitching was or how good your offense was overall. It comes down to, did you get hits? Did you come through in the situations that are most crucial in those games? And the Diamondbacks have done that. They have consistently come through in those big spots pretty much the entire season. The D-backs are still in the top half of the league in pretty much all offensive categories with runners in scoring position, something they really struggled with, especially at the start of last season. That has not at all been an issue for them so far.
Tyler Hurd in the comments says we have a +13 run differential finally. Let's go. Plus differential. Let's go.
Yeah. About that, Derek, I do have to say this. I kind of knew, just looking at the roster and whatnot, that this Colorado Rockies team wasn't great. But man, this Rockies team is not great. And if you're looking for a place to kind of get your offense right, if you're got some guys stuck in slumps trying to get out of them, or if you just want to, get your team run differential well into the green, this offense the Rockies have is not good. I know their starter today, Noah Davis, came in with a nice ERA, but you look at his AAA numbers and whatnot, you kind of figured he maybe wasn't quite as good as those numbers looked in his first two starts. And this was also his first time pitching in Coors Field. And you have to feel for any young pitcher pitching in this ballpark for the first time. And it did not go well for him today.
Well, we discussed a couple of things coming into the series, Jesse. And one of the things is that the Rockies have not played good baseball this year, but they were playing good baseball in the last couple of games, let's just say. And of course, the one thing that you're kind of concerned about with the Diamondbacks team that has played well, or at least had good showings against tough teams, and even won some of those series against some of the better teams in baseball, they tend to, sometimes play down to their competition, or sometimes not win the winnable series in between that they should be winning. This is not the case with this series. The Rockies have been steamrolled by the Diamondbacks so far in this series. It's not even been close. And again, we talked about the offense being on a roll, but Christian Walker, he's back 3 for 5 with 2 RBI today.
Yeah.
Emmanuel Rivera continues to hit, and he's unstoppable. He's 3 for 5. And then you had Alec Thomas and Jose Herrera each pitching in with 2 hits each. So it was just a great day all around. But of course, we know who our RISP king is, Jesse. All hail Geraldo Perdomo.
It's crazy, man. Like, you look at the numbers that Perdomo's put up, and honestly, I think for these first couple weeks of the season, we just looked at those numbers and we're like, all right, like, yeah, he's not really hitting the ball hard. I don't believe this for a second. And he just continues to do it, right? And that home run, that 3-run homer that he hit, that was not a cheap Coors Field home run. I think that gets out of a number of ballparks, or at least is an extra base hit in pretty much every ballpark. It had an XBA of almost 700 or something like that. So yeah, I mean, he's impacting the baseball. We did talk with Torey Lovullo a little bit about Perdomo after the game. And in particular, that Perdomo has had an opportunity to kind of focus a little bit on his left-handed swing. Being a switch hitter, you kind of have to work on both separately. They tend to be different for hitters. They're not, your swing from the left side is not at all necessarily the same as your swing from the right side. But because the D-backs have Perdomo in a platoon with Nick Ahmed, he's gotten almost all of his at-bats this year from the left side. And he's just really been able to focus in on that. And I think the D-backs have taken a lot of pressure off him as well. Torey Lovullo talked also about, what happened last year with Perdomo being shoved into the everyday role when Nick Ahmed went down with injury, and how, honestly, I don't think Perdomo was ready for that. And it was somewhat unfair to put him in that position all of a sudden and, force him to be a player that I don't think he was at that point. This year, there's been less pressure, and the numbers, I still don't know if he's going to hit 390 the whole year, Derek, but the numbers continue to be really, really good for Geraldo Perdomo.
Geraldo Perdomo's batting average with runners in scoring position this season, Jesse, as of today, or after today's game, is 588, which leads all of Major League Baseball.
It's not bad.
Not bad. He was 3 for 5 today with 4 RBI and the 1 home run. And of course, Geraldo Perdomo is our PHNX D-backs king snake. Look at that. Look at that guy. 3 for 5, 4 RBI. That dinger. I mean, come on. I just don't know what else to say about this team other than we knew where we were going to get contributions were. It's the reason why we're so worried about Corbin Carroll and his injury. But we weren't expecting to get contributions like this from someone like Geraldo Perdomo. It's not this. We have always called him our RISP king. This is nothing new. We knew about this long before he was actually leading the majors in batting average with runners in scoring position. We knew what he was capable of. We saw it. We saw that twinkle in his eye. But, I mean, again, if they're able to have guys like this come on and contribute in this way, it's going to make up for, the shortcomings at times and really, hopefully lead this team to not have those offensive slumps like we saw last season where the entire team suddenly was unable to produce runs or hit.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how the D-backs navigate this moving forward, right? You've still got Jordan Lawler right around the corner. You've got Nick Ahmed, theoretically departing in free agency this offseason. I'd be pretty surprised if the D-backs tried to bring him back. Sure. So, yeah, I mean, in a sense, the D-backs already had their next shortstop, not far away. We could see Jordan Lawler as soon as the end of this year. But suddenly, Geraldo Perdomo has very much put himself in position to be like, oh yeah, you should probably think about this guy too in your future plans, right? He might not just be the, utility infielder, solid defender type of a guy that we've sort of expected him to be. And yeah, I mean, Perdomo, honestly, even if the offense does take a bit of a step back, even if he winds up being even a league average offensive player, there's still a lot of value there because he continues to be very good defensively at shortstop. He made a nice play earlier in this game in particular. So yeah, I mean, he just brings it on both sides of the ball. And I think the D-backs are really excited about his future.
Speaking of both sides of the ball, let's take a look at the Corbin Carroll injury. We actually have some images of that occurring. He kind of This is what caused the left knee contusion. He just went up and kind of tried to protect himself from that wall with his knee, which I think is obviously a reactionary thing, but never a great idea, right? And then he kind of plowed into there. It definitely looked way worse, and especially with the amount of personnel they brought on the field,
Yeah.
I felt the sense of panic, Jesse, like I've never felt before in my whole entire life. And I mean, I have a child, so I don't know what that says about my feelings about Corbin Carroll, but you can deduce, the rest from there.
Yeah, I do have a couple other things to share on this. So Torey Lovullo went out there. He was one of the last people out there. He said the first thing that Corbin told him was, "I think I'm going to be okay." So that was kind of the first thing that gave Torey and the D-backs staff as a whole some optimism. They also, I don't know if they showed this on the TV broadcast, but they had the cart. They had, they were fully prepared to get Corbin Carroll off of the field via a electric vehicle.
I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready to see that.
It was fired up and ready to go. They opened the door down the left field line right near where the foul pole was. They had it ready to go. And then, it was kind of this big moment when suddenly that car drove away and that door closed as Corbin was able to walk off under his own power. But yeah, I mean, this was a scary moment. I mean, as you said, it was a long time. Corbin Carroll was on the ground for a long time.
Yeah.
And you didn't know, like in the moment. I mean, we talked with Tommy Henry after the game about what it's like as a teammate seeing that happen. And I mean, I was seeing that happen. I mean, he could have broken his knee, right? Like you really had, absolutely, based on how long he was on the ground, you really had no idea what was, what it could possibly be. And I mean, everyone, it was just silence here at Coors Field, as you'd expect when all of that was happening. But yeah, he was able to get up and walk off on his own power, which was a really good sign in itself. You kind of figured if he'd broken his patella or something, he's probably not walking off the field under his own power.
Right.
So that was
encouraging.
Yeah, that was a really good sign. But yeah, I mean, could you imagine, Derek, like if we were going live right now talking about, serious, like,
please don't.
Just
don't even say it.
I'm not gonna go there. But this is just such big news for the D-backs that Corbin appears to be just fine. He might still miss some time. I mean, maybe the D-backs do decide to put him on the IL. But it doesn't appear to be anything serious. And I can't even begin to think about where this fan base would be if we were talking about a serious Corbin Carroll injury right now.
Ryan was ready to give his knee.
Right.
I probably would have too. Mine probably isn't very good, but I'd still give it just for, the cause. I think there's another thing. I don't know if this ran through anyone else's mind, but it did with mine when he was down for so long, was that, Corbin Carroll's speed obviously is such a big part of what makes him fun and exciting as a player to watch. And
yeah, it's a great point.
The last thing anybody wants to see is Corbin Carroll injured. That's going to take away from that. I mean, the Diamondbacks have a guy on their team whose entire career was changed by knee injuries. And I don't want to even put that in the same atmosphere universe as what happened to Corbin tonight, but it's a reality check that your career can be changed by an injury. And, Corbin Carroll must be protected at all costs. I don't know what we need to do out there to protect him more, but I mean, obviously, it's like me with my daughter. She's 12. I need to learn to just let her go. Things might happen. I can't control everything. And I feel the same way about Corbin. I want to make sure that he's okay all the time.
Thank God for wall padding, right? That's the takeaway of tonight.
All right. So we talked about the D-backs kind of dominating this one. Tommy Henry pitched. He was the starting pitcher. His line, he pitched 5 1/3 innings, gave up 7 hits, 4 runs, 4 earned, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. He was okay. I mean, even good, you could maybe say, for a Coors Field start, but
sure.
Really just been okay in his 2 starts against mediocre to bad teams. So I don't know how encouraged you want to be by those 2 starts, but at least he was able to get through them, and the Diamondbacks were able, to use his outings to get success.
Yeah, his stuff is still down a little bit from what we saw last year. He averaged just over 90 with his four-seamer tonight. Last year, it was 91.6 is what he averaged. So we're still down. Today was 1.2 miles per hour on that pitch. He threw a ton of curveballs. He threw 40% curveballs in this game, 45% fastballs, 40% curveballs. The changeup and the slider, there were just kind of a handful of each of those. But yeah, it was okay. It was all right. I do have to say that, even though this is Coors Field, there is an element of, the competition that you're facing. And Tommy Henry is, faced the Royals at home, and he's faced a very poor Rockies offense, at least right now, a very poor Rockies offense, even in this ballpark. So I wouldn't say it was a great outing for him. He had 6 whiffs altogether. There's just hasn't really been much swing and miss in his 2 outings. But yeah, he was fine, right? He didn't at all, prevent the Diamondbacks from winning this game. The offense got so far out in front that he was able to kind of relax, which is nice. But moving forward, against better competition, I do think there's some pretty significant room for improvement there.
The D-backs now move to 16-12. They are 8 games above the Rockies in the standings as we head into the end of April. We've already confirmed Purple Hair Derek is on the way, so there's no question about that at this point.
I was really sad that we weren't live last night, because it would have been fun to just
have me live chat, like live, join you live from the Dirty Heads concert. No,
whatever it takes, Derek.
No,
the people just wanted you on live talking about the enormous mistake you made by making this promise.
Well, I say a lot of stupid things on this show, but I try to usually steer clear from committing to myself to doing anything like this. And if my hair falls out through the bleaching phase, it's all your guys' fault. I want you to know it's on you. You're bad people, and you should feel bad about doing that to me. But
what do we do if that happens? Because we still need something to be purple. Like, the bet isn't off just because the hair falls out.
I don't know what to do. At that point, I mean, maybe we just dye the nubs at that point. But the Diamondbacks need to be as relentless with the Rockies as you guys have been with me and my hair. They need a sweep. As Bob Brenly said, they need to get greedy. They have not swept a team yet, and this is really the time that we need to see them put their foot down and get these wins. These are the wins throughout this month of May. We've discussed the schedule and how easy the road is ahead for the month of May, but they cannot, they just can't stop. They can't let up at this point. They really need to take advantage of playing bad teams like the Rockies. You've kind of described more than once on this show already how bad the Rockies are, which is fine. But that means that the Diamondbacks, if they want to really be a contending team in the National League, they need to win, and they need to do it tomorrow too. They need to just take the series. They need to not be content with just a series win.
Yeah, I mean, the D-backs are just a significantly better team than the Rockies, right? I mean, I think that's pretty clear. And, hopefully for them, this is a chance for them to go out and really prove that. I know you talked earlier about just this easier stretch of the schedule and how some teams have a tendency to kind of play down to the competition that they're facing. Torey Lovullo was very adamant. Like, we the Royals are these are still major league players, right? And the same goes for the Rockies. You have to come in and take care of business, even if you feel that they're better than the team that they're facing. And so far, the D-backs have done that. I mean, this quote unquote easier part of the schedule has spanned 5 games so far, 3 against the Royals, 2 against the Rockies, and the D-backs are 4-1. There have been some ugly wins in there. I don't think the Royals series was pretty, but the D-backs are 4-1, and that one game that they lost by 1 run, and they very well, could have won that game and been 5-0. So far, it seems like the D-backs have come in and still played their game. And, this is what good teams do. They come in and they take care of business against teams that are lesser than them. And the D-backs have done that so far.
D-backs are 8-6 at home, 8-6 away. Nice even spread there, and have a chance to make it 9-6 tomorrow. But they actually still have some question marks. I don't know if Tommy Henry is the answer in their starting rotation, and I don't know how long he lasts, but Drake Jamison made his first start back in Reno today, and it wasn't great. He went 4 innings. He gave up 6 hits, 6 earned runs. He walked 4, struck out 5, and threw 79 pitches. But Jesse, he definitely threw one pitch a lot more than we've ever seen him potentially throw it.
Yeah, 62% sliders. He was sent down with the message that he got a little bit too one-dimensional. He was throwing too many fastballs and just trying to ride that into, trying to get outs against major league hitters. And he was told that doesn't work. So go down to AAA, you throw 62% sliders. I guess you figure you're kind of making a statement there. But yeah, it really wasn't effective. He wasn't really getting, many swing and misses. As you said, 6 hits allowed. 4 walks, which I'm sure was a point of frustration for him. So yeah, I mean, Dre is going to have to earn his way back to the big leagues. And that's a difficult task for him. I know he really struggled last year pitching in Reno. He had an ERA over 7 pitching in Reno last year. And that's why some people were pretty surprised that he even got the call up at the end of the season, because the numbers in Reno were just so poor, even relative to the environment there. That you kind of wondered if he was really deserving of that opportunity. But yeah, I don't think the D-backs need to see a 2.5 ERA. The numbers don't have to be pretty, but they do want to see him, really use his secondary stuff effectively. And he did use the secondary stuff, but I don't really think this was a huge step in the right direction.
Patrick Lyons is in our comments asking if the Suns won tonight. And I don't think Patrick Lyons wants to go there. I don't think you want that smoke, Patrick. Stick to baseball.
I think that's exactly what he wants.
We're talking baseball over here is what we're talking. We're also talking Diamondbacks minor league. Jake McCarthy in his first 3 games back in Reno is 3 for 14 with a double and 2 walks. Still basically doing what he was doing, I feel like, with the major league club. Yeah, Jesse?
Yeah, not a great start for him. It's still really early. Here he is. He's causing trouble as always.
Just covering a baseball game. Thank you very much.
Get out of here, Patrick. Scram.
I figured he wouldn't get through this show without a surprise appearance from Patrick at some point. Very easy to hurt that man's feelings. Anyway, where were we? Jake McCarthy. Yeah,
Jake McCarthy.
Yeah, not a good start for him in Reno, but yeah, it's 3 games. I mean, I know he really was not able to find an offensive rhythm in the big leagues, and just because you're facing, better competition, you're in some hitter-friendly ballparks, that doesn't necessarily flip the switch right away. So I still think the D-backs are going to be patient. I don't think they're too put off by the fact that his first 3 games there weren't great, but it is something to monitor. I mean, he also, like Dre Jameson, is going to have to earn his way back up here, and he hasn't really done that so far.
Somebody else that has earned their way up here is Brandon Pfaadt. However, the mystery continues as to when we will see Brandon Pfaadt as a part of the major league squad.
The mystery continues, Derek. People want answers, and we still don't have them, and nobody does. I don't know if the Diamondbacks have answers themselves right now. But yeah, Torey Lovullo yesterday was not willing to declare his starters for the Rangers series. He did make some comment about, like, I know why you guys are asking. Like, I know, I think he's aware that we're kind of trying to figure out when this 5th starter will be needed, and if it will be Brandon Pfaadt, which it certainly feels like it would be. But yeah, he hasn't made any declarations beyond this series about who is starting. I think it would line up for Zach Gallen starting on Tuesday and Merrill Kelly on Wednesday. But who knows? We'll have to wait and see.
What the hell happened in Mexico City? I know you were in Colorado. I know you might not have paid attention to it closely, but the Padres and the Giants just had a home run derby under the guise of being a baseball game down there. I don't know if I love it or if I really love it, Jesse, but they set history apparently. As you can see here, the first ever MLB game in Mexico City has gone final. The teams have combined for 27 runs, 30 hits, 11 home runs, 72 total bases, 4 instances of back-to-back home runs. Inject it directly into my veins, Jesse.
That's why, 72 total bases. If you cut that down the middle, like that's 36 total bases each. That's like each team hitting 12 triples, or like that's an absurd number of total bases. Well, it turns out that Mexico City, is not Coors Field, but it might be even more hitter friendly than
Higher than Coors Field.
It is higher. Yeah, it's at 7,350 feet above sea level, something like that. The dimensions of that ballpark, I believe, are also shorter than the dimensions here. It's 400 to straightaway center. It's like 320, 325 to the corners. So yeah, I feel like we kind of all knew this was going to happen. There were some articles written going into that series that there might be a lot of offense in that game. And you just kind of feel bad for Joe Musgrove and Sean Manaea having to go in there and,
I would never feel sorry for either of those guys.
Insanely hitter friendly environment. But I'm sure it was a fun game. I mean, if you play an international baseball game, maybe you don't want it to be 2-1. You want there to be a lot of action for the fans to enjoy. And boy, was there a lot of action in that.
There
game.
Sure was. The two teams combined for 11 home runs, including Manny Machado homering twice. And Jesse, this game does have a connection to the Arizona Diamondbacks, actually, believe it or not. The two teams combining for 11 home runs is too shy of the major league record set by the D-backs and the Phillies in 2019.
I don't remember that game. Really?
Yes.
2019.
They hit 13 home runs in a game.
Just the D-backs, not the D-backs and the Phillies combined. Just the D-backs at 13 home runs. Is that
no. The two teams combined for 11 home runs in this game. In that game, the two teams combined for 13 home runs.
Okay, I was gonna say that would really mean something.
13 home runs by the D-backs. Take me back to 2019. What a magical time, pre-pandemic. Anyway, what else? You got anything else for me? Did you find out who beat up Dinger? By the way, any news on beating up Dinger?
We have no updates. I've tried to get.
That's all I wanted you to figure out while you were there, Jesse. That's the only thing I asked you to do.
Yeah, DNVR has their ongoing investigation right now, and
they're not doing a good enough job.
Neither Patrick Lyons nor Susie Hunter were willing to share any of their information.
Hey,
so
sometimes when the police aren't doing a good enough job, you have to hire a private investigator to get the job done. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just got to bring in an expert. You are my expert, so find out what happened to Dinger. Diamondbacks go for the sweep tomorrow. Are you sticking around in Colorado for more baseball?
That's the plan, Derek. I will be here tomorrow, and we will be here tomorrow with another post-game show. All
right. Well, we will see you guys here tomorrow for that, and then we'll be back on Monday with our normal Mailbag Monday episode at 1 p.m. So make sure to join us for that. In the meantime, you can follow us on Twitter. I am at @cap_caveman with a K. Jesse is at Jesse N. Friedman. Our show is at PHNX_D-backs. But of course, all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. We thank you guys so much for your time. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it is so much more fun when you got purple hair.